Department of Corrections co-facilitates the treatment groups with a mental health provider. And we settled on that model because sometimes there are underlying mental health issues that maybe a probation officer wouldn't key in on as readily as a mental health professional would. And so we wanted to make sure that we were covering those issues in terms of victim safety.
To have two facilitators in there, we found that one of the ways that we could be creative and help that agency be able to offer us a therapist would be to have probation in that classroom. Probation then picks up that cost of that second facilitator. That agent is also trained specifically in that curriculum. They have extensive training in domestic violence, so we are confident that the services that they're offering, that they are passionate about and that they understand and are giving the best practices. It may have been an unanticipated advantage, but one of the things we found was that having that probation agent in that classroom with their probationer is that they were able to meet with them each week, which was probably part of their state requirements for probation, the amount of time they need to spend with probation. So this was really good quality time that they could spend with them and find out how they were doing in their week. Find out some information maybe that was going to be helpful to them in offering their probation services when they're monitoring that person.
The agents then can see really what's happening in the treatment process. They can see what the risks are. They can start to note red flags. They can look at triggers so that when they start to see those things in the community, when they continue to work with that offender, they can hopefully help to slow down their process and to talk with them about that trigger in hopes of interrupting that cycle of violence.
The grant helped to pay the costs of the facilitators of the BIP program. When that grant ran out, then we had to decide, how are we going to have men attend the BIP who might not have the money to pay for each session? One decision we made was to essentially say that any fines that we impose as part of their sentence would be waived upon their completion of the program. So essentially, attending BIP now costs offenders no more than the original fine would have cost them in any event. So that's one way. Another way we try to deal with the challenge of money is to give offenders an opportunity to not pay immediately and to help work out a payment arrangement.
One of the other best practices, I think would be the best way to describe it, is to make sure that advocates are observing the batterer's intervention programming. Have an advocate come in to watch and make sure there's not collusion going on between the facilitator and the batterer themselves.
It can be really easy to drift from your curriculum at times, and so we've asked our shelter advocates to come in and sit through the program and audit our facilitators in all of the programs to make sure that we aren't causing any undue harm to victims, or how we're interacting doesn't somehow collude with offenders, or that we don't unknowingly do things that would unintentionally cause harm. And so to have their perspective of how they're hearing pieces of that curriculum being delivered is important to us too.